Peace and blessings, my dear brothers and sisters. Once again, I did one before. This is the second one on the Black History Month. Now, Black history is the history of the black, not only of the black, the white, the brown, the yellow, all the people of the USA and of all the people on this globe. We must not take the position, well, black history has nothing to do with me. I'm not black. If you're not black, you're white. And maybe you're white, but if you're not black, you're white. So even if you're white, why doesn't it concern you? There was a time when America was a nation of segregation. Black could only go to this restaurant, and even when the whites go to the park, the blacks couldn't go into the park. How did that end? There was a time when schools were only for white children, and black children were prevented by law from going to those schools. How did that end? You and I, we are the immigrants. We did not end it. You see, the desire to maintain supremacy gave birth to the Ku Klux Klan in the South. Almost a century later, resistance to the lingering racism and discrimination in America that began during the slavery era would lead to the civil rights movement of the 1960s, which would achieve the greatest political and social gains for blacks since Reconstruction. Let's change the word black to every person of color. But the thoughts of supremacy did not die. It lingered on and can be found among the intellectuals and members of Congress and members of the Senate. Robert Fogel, a 1993 Nobel Prize winner, has attempted to rewrite history. He published a book, Time on the Cross, 1974, that seeks to prove that black people were better off under slavery. Wow. Black people were better off under slavery. Look at them as slaves. What were they as slaves? Now they are free. So compare the freedom with slavery. They were better off under slavery. Why would a person, a Nobel Prize winner, write such a matter? Minnesota Rep. Michelle Bachmann, who campaigned for president in 2012, said, "A black child born into slavery in 1860 was more likely to be raised by his mother and father in a two-parent household than was an African-American baby born after the election of USA's first African-American president." Look at that. Those people couldn't raise their kids. They didn't want to have kids. So a baby under slavery was better off than a baby born when Barack Obama was president. What's this? What's the argument? What's the logic? Sheer racism and dislike for a black man to be the president of the United States. Let us look at some scenes of slavery and scenes after slavery in the 20th century. See how they emphasize the statement, Black Lives Matter, and justify the campaigns, pressure for new laws, and the fight against systemic racism. Take a look and draw your conclusions. I'll be speaking. You're going to see the picture on the screen. 1960, a vicious kick to the midsection of an old black guy. How brave those people were. A slave being lowered into a boiling pot, alive to be boiled. Transatlantic trade. If you're considered disagreeable or making problems, they dash you overboard in the mid-Atlantic to be food for the sharks. public flogging, no mercy. These people, black people, were treated so badly. This is a result of being flogged on the back with a cat-o'-nine. Look at the guy's back. Now, what did these people do? The one burnt alive and those guys hanging on the tree. That was because of the passing of the Jim Crow's laws. These people had no rights, actually. And these crimes, no one was ever punished for them. They just feel like burning or hanging them. It was not true. Even in 1861, they did that. They hanged these people up. Look at the picture. And the crowd cheering. The 1950s in America were a time of terrible discrimination against blacks. This discrimination was in the education system. Even though white schools were supposed to be equal in quality to black schools, this was not the case. Schools of black children were in a most deplorable state, physically and in terms of the books they got to read. 1957, the first day of Dorothy Conk's at Henry Harding High School in the United States. Conk's, one of the first black students admitted in the school. She was no longer able to attend because of the harassments, and she left after 4 days. Here in Mississippi, James Meredith is being escorted in and out of the university by U.S. Marshals. Do join me again for another presentation. Take care, my dear brothers and sisters. I do feel that I'm convinced that as a colored person, a brown person, I have a connection with black history. And more so because I'm a Muslim. And that's what I'm going to talk about next. Take care. Take care of yourself. Don't go outside. Watch out. Stay home. Don't go out if you can. Stay clear of the virus. Peace and blessings, my dear brothers and sisters.